Hello everyone and welcome to another live. Okay, today I'm really excited because Dating to Marry is officially open. So if you're ready to date scripturally and practically, to vet quality men in your pool, to attract men that you actually desire to marry, and to choose from a quality option of men, then make sure that you click the link in bio and you learn more about the Dating to Marry program, because I only work with 4 women at a time per cohort. The next cohort is starting this month. So if you're ready to take practical scriptural steps as you're dating, make sure that you join the Dating to Marry program before we close in a few days. I'm really excited to work with this next cohort of clients. I'm rounding up with our previous cohort. I remember a client was telling me that this is one of her most transformative investments this year, and I was really excited to hear that, because I've seen clients go through this program and this process to date differently, enter marriages that are godly, and also understand their value as they're dating and vetting. And speaking about vetting, today we're going to be talking about what it means to vet as you date. If you see me look to the corner, it's because I have some notes. I want to make sure that I get all my points across to you. But if you really want to get it through this process in a way that specifically applies to you, I would encourage you to consider Dating to Marry as a program that would allow you to date effectively for the marriage that you know that God has called you to enter. Okay, so let me know where you all are tuning in from, as is our practice. I'm really curious to hear what states, countries we have on this live today. And please make sure to tag your friends to join, because as you know, once the live is over, I will not be taking any questions. I will not be able to answer your question personally. So let me know if your friend is going to learn from this live. If they want to learn how to vet practically, what it looks like to be in a relationship that is heading towards a practical scriptural path of marital commitment, make sure that you tag them to join. Okay, so I see Ghana, I see Lagos, I see Oyo, Ibadan. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Really excited. I see another Ghanaian here. Hello, nice to have you join us. Okay, so let's get started, because we have a lot of ground to cover today. Now, first thing I want you to understand is what vetting means in general. Vetting is basically critically examining a process to ensure somebody fits a particular role. Okay, so if I'm vetting for the desire to get married, that means that I'm critically examining the people that are constantly, going through my dating pool to make sure that they are qualified for that role of marital commitment. So in other words, I'm just assessing whether or not this is somebody that I want to settle down with maritally, but I'm doing it in a very practical way. I'm doing it in a very scriptural way. I'm doing it in a way that aligns with my marital template. And as you know, what I describe as a marital template is what God has told you specifically about your marriage. What we show you how to do through the Dating to Marry system is to understand what that looks like for you in a granular and practical form, because what I've come to understand is when you receive a marital calling from God, you tend to run. What I've seen with saved women is we tend to extend the scope of how this looks like practically, so it becomes very difficult for you to understand what God is saying in your present circumstances about your future marital commitment. So that's what we show you how to do through the Dating to Marry system, and that is part of the reason why vetting is very important through the process of making sure that you're choosing the right partner. Okay, so basically you're critically examining the people before you to see whether or not they are suitable for the role of marital commitment. That's what it means to vet as you date to marry. As you know, that's specifically what we do here. My concern and my focus is to make sure clients enter the right marriage for them, not to just get married, but to make sure that you understand the process of entering the marriage that is suitable for you, so that as scripture says in Genesis 2:18, you are a suitable helper to your partner, and you are in a position to be a helpmeet to them in a way that equally benefits both of you in the relationship. Okay, so the reason why vetting is good, make sure you have your notes. Let me have volunteers who wants to help our audience out to take some notes, because we're about to dive deep. We're about to go all the way in, because I really want you to understand how vetting should look like practically. Okay, so vetting is good because it allows you to approach the dating scene with your priorities. Because you're clear on exactly what you want to achieve maritally, it allows you to approach dating from a perspective of knowing exactly what you're looking for. If you're not vetting as you're dating, you are probably and possibly and highly likely to be in a position where you are entertaining options that are not suitable for you to even be in a commitment with, not to talk about marriage. You are constantly finding yourself in confusing situations with men. You don't know how to read situations properly. You get emotionally entangled. It becomes difficult for you to hear what God is saying. You become frustrated through the process because you're not vetting. So vetting creates opportunities for you to approach the dating scene with your priorities, which you would have clearly outlined to suit the marital template that God has given you. That is the calling He has given you to take maritally. It also prevents you from becoming emotionally entangled. So what I mean by that is, because you're going through a system of qualifying men based on priorities that are very important to you, it allows you to understand exactly what it looks like for you to commit to somebody gradually without being in a position where you pre-commit emotionally, spiritually, even. That's possible. You just meet somebody today, you assume they're your husband. That's a way of premature spiritual commitment. Or physically, because you get distracted by their looks, so you remove everything else that should be a priority and importance when you are choosing a suitable partner. So if you're vetting, it allows you to approach the dating scene from an angle that prevents you from committing prematurely, whether spiritually, emotionally, and even physically, to that person, and also sexually as well. Okay, now another reason it's good is it makes it easier for you to ground your relationship on realistic metrics, because you're vetting. What I mean by that is, because you're going through the process of qualifying potential partners from a practical standpoint, like for instance, you want somebody that is Christian, kind, and fit. You are able to assess better as you are vetting whether or not they fit that standard, because you've already drawn out the outline of what it should look like for somebody to be in that position. So it's easier for you not to compromise, because for instance, maybe you see an atheist. Because of your vetting process, you already know that this isn't somebody you could potentially be in a marital commitment with. So that means that it's not somebody you can date. You see somebody that doesn't take their fitness seriously, or isn't even interested in the fact that you have a fitness routine. You know, because you're vetting, that this isn't somebody that you can commit to, because they're not going to encourage that aspect of your lifestyle that is of high priority and high importance to you. So it allows you to use realistic metrics as you're dating, so that your standards aren't too high and they're not too low. They are adequate. They are able to reflect exactly what God has told you about your marriage. They are able to reflect exactly what you desire in a partner presently, and also what you desire from them in the future. Okay, now another reason it's important is it makes you very attractive as a woman, because you're able to clearly articulate what your intentions are and what you are looking for when it comes to the dating scene. When I say looking for, I mean what you are in position to receive, because obviously as women, you shouldn't be chasing men up and down. You shouldn't be pursuing the man. It's actually very exhausting if as a woman you put yourself in that position, and it's because you are not vetting. If you don't understand the fact that your position in the vetting process is to assess whether or not that person qualifies for the role of marital commitment, it's going to be very difficult for you to be attractive to the right men. And even the wrong men will probably take advantage of you, because you're going to be leading with desperation rather than your desires. Vetting allows you to lead with your desires in a way that makes you desirable. Okay, if you don't vet, you're probably going to lead with desperation. And the funny thing is, because you're not vetting, you would find yourself in the same position as if you were vetting, but occupying a different space entirely. So what I mean is, if you're vetting and you know that, for instance, you desire somebody that is a Christian, the way you approach the dating scene is going to be very different from if you were not leading with the fact that you were vetting, even though you do desire a Christian. So if you're not aware of that standard being a priority to you, because you have sat down with yourself and assessed what exactly it is you desire from a marital commitment, you're going to find yourself in a position where you are desperately looking for somebody that fits that particular role subconsciously, and you will find that you will start repelling potential candidates because of how you are acting and approaching the dating scene. Meanwhile, if you vet, and if you're clear on exactly why this thing is a priority to you, in other words, for instance, your faith, it's easier for you to approach this dating scene confidently, with a courage that is very clear about your intentions, and that is attractive even to the wrong men, because you are leading with clarity and focus and conviction. So it's easier for you to attract quality partners. And that's why through the dating to marry system, we say that you are going to learn how to vet from a quality pool of men, because we show you specifically how that applies to your own marital calling in a way that allows you to approach the dating scene confidently and clearly, so you are able to present your intentions in a desirable way to the right quality pool of men. Okay, that's why the dating to marry system works for all our clients. That's how it has been able to help. And I'll be sharing some of our clients with you. Dami, has been married for a couple of years now, and she used the dating to marry system to vet her now partner. Chidema used clarity through the dating to marry system to understand how value should be articulated through the process of not only vetting, but it allowed her to attract a quality pool of men to choose from to commit to maritally. And there are a number of other clients that I'll be sharing with you through the program, through this process of explaining what vetting is, to show you how they have applied it practically, so that you will understand how this should look like practically for you as well. Okay, now it's important to vet because it allows you to follow your own specific marital template. Now, your marital template, again, I like re-emphasizing it, but because it's really important you get this. Your marital template is what God has told you about your marriage specifically, but I call it a marital template because it allows you to understand how the blueprint is meant to look like practically. That's why I say dating to marry is a scriptural and practical program that allows you to reconcile your faith with ensuring that you're attracting the right pool of men to qualify for marriage from. Okay, so vetting allows you to focus on your specific marital template in a very practical manner, so that when you are approaching the dating scene, you're not wasting your time, you're not getting conflicted, you're not stagnant, you're not stuck. You are very clear. You are very much able to articulate exactly what it is you're looking for in a way that is practical and applicable to your present circumstance. Okay. Now, vetting is important because it should mirror intentions you desire presently in your future partner. So what that simply means is that maybe you desire a partner in the future that is able to provide a certain level of financial stability. Vetting allows you to equate what that would look like presently, so that you are not overshooting your goal. So what I find happen that is unfortunate with when saved women are dating is maybe you desire a man that is 6'1", 6 figures, speaking in tongues, and attending church 6 times a week. Maybe God told you that you're going to marry a pastor, and in either of those situations, because of that, you carry that message and you apply it in a very unrealistic and impractical manner presently, that makes it very difficult for you to even find any man that fits that pool of options. And you are going with the wrong idea through to the dating scene, thinking that God is just going to deliver him to your door, not understanding that God has given you a template that is meant to show you how your future is going to look like, but it doesn't necessarily reflect what that person is going to look like presently. So vetting allows you to apply that future conviction, that future vision in a very present manner, so that you are dating practically. And that's what we show clients how to do, because through the dating to marry system, we make sure that you are able to articulate exactly the marital template that God has given you, because we have processes in place to help you to elicit those convictions that God has dropped in your spirit, so that you are able to apply dating in a very granular format, how you are presently located, right, in terms of the dating scene. Whether you're dating somebody, dating to marry program is not about if you're in a relationship or if you're not in a relationship. You can go through the program in either way. We've worked with clients that are dating and clients that are single, and both sets of clients have ended up, going through that process to learn how to date better, and some are now even married and engaged as well. So it's really about understanding how to apply the system of dating to marry in a way that allows you to date for the marriage that you desire personally, not based on what parents, pastors, society, peer pressure is saying. So that's how the system works. And that's why your vetting should mirror your present intentions in a way that honors the future that God has called you to achieve maritally, okay? Now, another reason is important. Like I said, I have a lot to go through today because I really want you guys to understand this. And if you want to know how this practically applies to you, I would encourage you to consider being a part of the Dating to Marry program, okay? Now, it also makes it easy for you to know what God is saying and has said, and now how this should apply to the pool of men you're entertaining. So let me say that again. It makes it easy for you to know what God is saying and has said, and how this should apply practically to the pool of men that you're dating. God is constantly speaking. He's either reaffirming what he has said to you through different people or different positions that he puts you in. For instance, he may have told you that you're going to gain a certain level of wealth and standing in society. He may have said that to you through his word. He may have said that to you based on the position he has given you in your company. He may have said that to you based on the business he's blessed you with. He may have said that to you through the opportunity that has just dropped in your lap. That's what I mean by God is constantly speaking and reaffirming. It's the same thing when it comes to your marriage. He's constantly speaking and reaffirming the fact that he has told you that you are going to marry so and so person that fits a particular role and position. Just because he's not saying it the same way doesn't mean he's not saying the same thing. It's just that now he's saying it for a different purpose. So how that word comes to you is going to carry a different position. So vetting allows you to understand exactly what God is saying in a practical way that applies to your present situation, so that you are not stepping outside the standard and the template that he has given you. It makes it easy for you to know what he is saying, because it allows you to outline, okay, this is what God said to me about my marriage. Maybe he said that I'm going to get married very soon, but right now there's nobody in front of me. So that could possibly mean that I need to step out more in the dating scene or occupy a different position in how I approach my options that are available to me. Or maybe he's trying to put me in a hidden season so that I understand the value that he has shown me to ascribe to myself, so that when I'm dating, I know how to lead with that value. Again, that's what I mean by God is saying the same thing, but he may be saying it in a different way. But vetting allows you to hear clearer what God is saying in a way that is very practical for you, so that you are dating at a level that honors the marital calling that he has blessed you with. Okay, and this process also allows you to take charge and take responsibility for your marital calling in a way where you don't leave it in the arms of traditional spiritual leaders, whether it's your pastor or your parents. And what I do with dating to marry clients is I never tell clients how their marital template should look like. What I do is I put them through the dating to marry process so they're able to clearly articulate it themselves in a way that allows them to confidently step into the dating scene and attract those men that fit that template naturally as a result. Okay, so that's why vetting is important. It also allows you to self-evaluate if your desires are valid. Okay, you want a Christian man that's prays in tongues, and you want a Christian man that has the gift of the word of knowledge. Why is that important to you? Why is it so important, and why is it so specific of a requirement in your dating process that person has to have that particular quality? Vetting allows you to really filter through what your desires are in a way that encourages you to self-evaluate what exactly it is you're looking to achieve in the dating process to step into the right marital calling. That's why it's important. And that's why through the program, we show you how to vet in a way that qualifies a pool of men that will allow you to choose from options that honor the calling that God has placed on your marriage and honor your desires in a way that isn't self-serving or selfish, but also is aware of what you desire for yourself in a way that honors God and honors what he has called you to achieve, okay? Now, it makes it easy to know your husband. It makes it very easy. I cannot tell you. For instance, within months of going through the program, Dami was able to vet and verify whether or not she wanted to take the next step with her now husband, and she's been married for a couple of years. I have another client equally called Dami that went through the same process, and within months she was able to settle down as well with her now husband, also for a couple of years. Sylvia went through the program and was able to choose a partner that she has now been married to for a couple of years. So what I'm trying to get you to understand is vetting is so important in knowing what your husband looks like that it encourages the process to move faster. So that as you're dating, you find that, like I said, you're not becoming prematurely attached because you're working with a template that honors what God has told you in a way that allows you to apply scripture very practically and granularly so that it's interesting for you to be in the dating scene. You're not frustrated. You're not heartbroken. I cannot tell you, I'm going to mention some other clients through this process. I cannot tell through this process of explaining to you the importance of vetting. I cannot tell you the amount of clients that have gone through this program and it has benefited them to learn how to vet with their own specific template. The mistake you're making is you're carrying somebody else's template to vet. So because your pastor, for instance, again, I just refer to traditional spiritual leaders not because I have anything against them, but just because these are just the traditional people that we look to for leadership when it comes to relationship and marriage. So maybe your pastor says you cannot marry somebody that speaks in tongues, or he says you cannot marry somebody outside this congregation. That is their template that you are carrying to apply when you are dating. That's why dating is difficult for you. That's why it's frustrating. That's why it lacks fruit. That's why it's difficult for you to hear what God is saying, because you're carrying somebody else's, or maybe you're carrying Sister Kate's template because she dated only men in her church and she was able to settle down within months. So you say, okay, fine, because Sister Kate only dated men in her congregation, or because Sister Kate met her husband when she attended this convention, me too, I'm going to go to that convention. That's not how vetting works. That is why it's difficult for you to date in a way that honors your process. That's why you're finding it difficult to attract quality options. And that's what we dismantle initially in the Dating to Marry program. Because if you start dating from that mindset, you're going to find it very difficult to even attract any options that are suitable for marriage, not to even talk about quality options. So vetting makes it easy for you to know your husband because it honors your marital template, it honors your process, and it allows you to date in a way that makes it easy for you to understand what your husband should look like practically, presently, and scripturally. Okay? Now, in the process of vetting, it's important to understand that it is going to be so specific to your situation that you should be able to articulate it. You already have this information, I guarantee you that much, about what God has said about your marriage, but you may be struggling on how that should apply, how that should apply practically. And that's what we elicit, that's what we draw out through the Dating to Marry system to allow you to stay in alignment with your marital template so that it works for you in a granular format. In other words, it works for you in specific details so you are able to apply dating in a way that presently honors your process without, losing fact of what you desire for yourself in the future. Okay. Also, it's also important to understand that you have to have clarity as you are vetting so that you are dating from a position of consistency. Right. And that's why in Dating to Marry, we make sure that you go through a process. Our system honors the fact that it's 12 weeks. We do different things at each stage. We start from looking at your patterns and we make sure that you are in the right position to be presented to the right options of men. And part of that process is understanding how to be clear on how you should vet at each stage. Because if you're not clear on how to vet at each stage, you are going to be constantly getting confused. Today, you may be talking to somebody and you think that the way you vetted them today is the way you are going to vet them when they become your boyfriend. Absolutely not. That's why, let me use the example of a job interview. As you know, before you apply, say you're applying to company A, before you do that application, you look at the requirements of the role. Then you apply to that position based on the requirements you're looking for and if you feel that you are suitable to meet those standards. Once you apply, company A may extend an invitation to you for an interview. Just because you've passed the first round of interview doesn't mean that you are getting that position. It just means you passed the first round of interviews. And that qualifies you for the second level, which is obviously going to be a different process than the first level. It's the same way with vetting. The same way company A is vetting to make sure that you are the right person for their for that particular position. It's the same way that when you are vetting, you need to make sure that the stage you are at and getting to know that person honors what you need to look at in that person at that particular stage. And that's what Dating to Marry shows you how to do, because each stage of dating is going to look very different than the last stage, but you need to know how it looks different and what exactly you need to be watching out for. Okay, now it's also important to understand that it provides a structured system for allowing you to date in a way that honors your process practically. What I mean is, because you are vetting based on the desire that you have maritally and you are using what you feel God has told you about your marriage to choose options that are available to you and to step into the dating scene, you are going through a system that is very structured. You are not dating randomly. You're not dating randoms. You're not giving room for toxic people to come in and out of your life. You are using a very structured process to make sure that you are entering the dating scene because you have clear intentions and you have a clear template to work with. And what we do with Dating to Marry clients is we provide a structured system to help them understand how standards and boundaries should be implemented as they date. And that's why, for instance, Sylvia was able to change her dating pattern. We helped Dami to be able to understand exactly the questions she should be asking before she stepped into her now marriage through the process of dating men that were approaching her. And it also provided clarity on how to vet so that it's easy for my clients to understand how this should look like for them personally. So that's why it's so important that you are clear on what your vetting process should look like, because it fast tracks your experience in the dating scene and makes it easy for you to know exactly when you are ready to settle down. Okay? I know I have said a lot, and I appreciate, notes that have been put down. I've said a lot. I won't lie to you. I said so much. And that's why it's important, again, that if you want clarity around how this process is supposed to look practically for you, I would encourage you to look into the Dating to Marry program that is currently open, okay? Now, so I want to talk about the different aspects of how vetting would apply at different stages of dating. So it firstly, let's look at it from this angle, from the angle of honoring your spirit and honoring the calling that you have received from God. It makes it very easy to follow the format that the Holy Spirit has given you through the 6 dimensions of discernment. And those are, like I've said repeatedly, because it's very important that you understand this. What he has shown you, basically what you're seeing, what you're hearing based on what people are telling you, and what you're hearing from this particular person that you're considering, what you're smelling, in other words, whether the relationship is leaving a sense of confirmation to you or it's leaving you in confusion, how the relationship feels, whether it's making progress, it has substance, or it lacks substance and it lacks form, and how it tastes. Does it give you peace? Do you feel joyful? Do you feel excited? Or you're feeling frustrated, you're feeling down, you're feeling like it's forceful? So vetting allows you to pay attention. And then obviously the 6th one is your intuition and your ability to be able to listen to your instinct. Now, how the Holy Spirit is going to speak to you in these particular areas is going to be very specific. And that's why with clients, we help them to understand how it looks like when the Holy Spirit is speaking specifically to their situation. Now, all clients go through the same curriculum, but it has been designed in a way where it practically applies to your personal situation. Okay, so when you understand that vetting will allow you to make a lot of room in your spirit to hear from the Spirit of God, it will allow you to date in a way that honors your marriage and makes dating easy for you. You'll find it very difficult to become prematurely committed to somebody that God hasn't approved of in one of the ways that he speaks to you through his Spirit. And then it makes it easier for you to, I did a post a while ago about different ways God speaks to you. And again, I break this down for dating to marry clients, but I'm going to give you a heads up here. He's either showing you stuff. So what I mean by showing to you is you're either a dreamer, or you see visions, or you enter a trance. You're one of those people that he speaks to in the realm of the spirit when you are not fully conscious, okay? Or he shows you things through what you are seeing. So what I mean by that is it could be his word. A word resonates in your spirit. It could be this person's actions. Maybe you pray to God that, I don't know how many of you have prayed, God, if this is not your will, scatter the relationship, let it not move forward. And then boom, that man starts acting all shades of strange. Okay, that's God showing you through his actions that he has heard your prayer, and you should pay attention. And then finally, he speaks through his spirit. Like I've said, that was the previous point I described. So it's important that through this process, as you are vetting, you become aware of how God speaks to you in a way that is practically applicable, so that you are dating scripturally practically. Okay, because you know that, okay, God tends to show me dreams, God tends to show me through actions. You are able to vet men more specifically in a way that honors your process, and then allows you to be convicted about your desires. In other words, it's clarity on whether it's from God or it's from you. So what I mean by your desires is maybe you desire somebody that is earning a 6-figure salary. Because you are vetting and you are listening to how God speaks to you in your spirit, and you are clear on exactly what it looks like when he has spoken to you in the past, it's easier for you to confirm and be convicted on whether that is a desire that comes from God or comes from you. Now, I'm not the type of person that will tell you that, because you desire something that is conventionally referred to as being greedy or selfish, that means that God doesn't desire it for you. Absolutely not. I believe that God desires all his children to be abundant financially, spiritually, emotionally, physically, in all forms of abundance, mentally. So if he has given you that conviction about being with somebody that is going to be financially abundant, vetting allows you to discern whether or not that comes from God or whether or not it's a desire that comes from you. So that when you are dating, you are honoring again what God has told to you scripturally in a very practical way. Now, it makes prayer more practical because it allows you to understand exactly what you should be praying about. And what I do with dating to marry clients is I show them how to apply their marital template through the vetting process in prayer. Because you find that you are not, as scripture says, you are not boxing in the air. You are making very specific use of the sword of the spirit to be able to understand how your dating process should be looking like physically. in the flesh. That's what I mean. So based on the fact that you are vetting and you are paying attention to what God has said to you in your spirit, your prayer pattern becomes very specific to the point where you are able to speak to issues that are specific to that situation. You are able to speak to whether or not this person is in alignment with what God has said to you. You are able to pray about how you want God to intervene. You are able to clearly see when God does intervene and what it looks like when he steps into the picture. That's why vetting is important on a spiritual level. Now, emotionally, it makes it easy for you to lead with your standards so that you are focusing on what is of emotional value to you. You are not compromising your standards in a way that is not beneficial to you. You are able to lead from a standpoint that allows you to understand exactly what it looks like when God is honoring your emotions. Okay, what I mean by that is if somebody is disrespectful, you know faster that they are disrespectful, because guess what? It is part of the desires that you have when it comes to a partner emotionally. If somebody is constantly putting you in a position where you are compromising your non-negotiables, you know that this is not somebody that you can date to marry. So vetting forces you to pay attention to your values in a way that allows you to honor your standards and apply your boundaries in a way that is immediately applicable to avoid moving forward into a situation that doesn't honor what you desire for yourself mannerly. So what I mean by this is, because somebody is disrespectful and you are paying attention to their pattern of behavior that shows you that they are not ready to commit, it's easier for you to step away because your boundaries are being disregarded. It's easier for you to change position because you know this is not a partner that you can commit to in the long run. And because you started dating with the process of vetting, you are not in a position where you are emotionally entangled, where you are spiritually confused or compromised, or where physically you don't know where you stand. You are able to clearly articulate why this is not somebody you can move forward with. And the reason that is so important is so you don't start going back and forth. Part of the reason why you keep going back to relationships is because you don't know why you left in the first place. You have no idea why that relationship was not serving you because you didn't honor the fact that your process is supposed to mirror a particular pattern. But when you are vetting, you are honoring that process, so it's easier for you to step away because you clearly know why you're stepping away and you clearly know why you're staying, which is why with clients, we're able to help them to understand how this process should look like personally, to the point where they are not getting attached or confused or conflicted about their choices when it comes to partners. They are able to clearly say, this is somebody that I am dating, this is somebody that I can marry, this is somebody that I am waiting to see if I want to move forward with. And that is very powerful as a woman to be able to do. A lot of women don't know how to do that as you're dating, because it also makes you very attractive. It allows you to lead with an aura of confidence that attracts quality men to you. Okay, another reason is it allows you to observe practically whether or not the person that you're entertaining fits the standards that you desire for yourself. Because you are vetting, it allows you to understand that you have an equal say in the relationship. I can't tell you the amount of times that I receive messages like, oh, he did A, B, and C. What do you think I should do? If you are vetting, it allows you to understand that you hold an equal position of power to be able to decide whether or not you want to move forward with that relationship. And you do that through the lens of filtering their actions and seeing whether or not it is in alignment with what you desire from a potential partner. So that's what I mean that it allows you to observe practically. You don't ask too many questions. You just focus on their pattern of behavior because you're clear on exactly what you're looking for. And obviously this also means that you're bringing to the table exactly what you are hoping your partner is offering you as well. So vetting allows you to approach the dating scene very confidently, very clearly, in a manner that allows your courage to attract quality options. Okay, now another reason vetting is so important, let me know if this is helpful to you. We said a lot already, and I really want to make sure that you understand why vetting is a process that you should be using as you are dating. Okay, because physically what it allows you to do is acknowledge your physical preferences. Again, I said preferences. Why it's so important to acknowledge your physical preferences is so that you don't enter a marriage where you have regrets, so that you don't enter a marriage where you are confused, so that you don't enter a relationship where you are conflicted and you don't know what exactly it is you want. So that's why it's important to vet. Okay, it makes it easy for you to listen to your flesh. in the right context, in a way that honors your spirit. Now, I'm not of the belief that God doesn't speak to you through the flesh. As you know, I'm very clear about my position on this. I believe God speaks to you through your spirit, your emotions, and your flesh. However he wants to speak to you, he will get your attention. So what I believe is that as you are vetting, it allows you to listen to your flesh in a way that honors your spirit. Now, there are multiple examples of how this applies in scripture. There's 2 Corinthians 12:9 that speaks about my power is made perfect in your weakness, when God gave his servant a thorn in his flesh, as scripture clearly states. There's the two shall become one flesh, as says in Mark 10:8-9. There is being naked and unashamed, Genesis 2:25. All references of how the flesh is honoring what God has said to them in their spirit. So it's important to understand the proper context of how your flesh should take place. You are now a new creature, so obviously how you react to situations as being a new creature is going to be different than when you were living in your flesh. So it's important that you understand that as you are vetting, it honors that change as well. Okay, now it allows you to discern if your sexual desires are there or not. What I mean by that is it allows you to have conversations when you are vetting. It allows you to really understand what you are looking for from a physical and a sexual standpoint, so that it's easier for you to know whether or not this partner that you are considering could potentially fulfill that role. Just having that in mind changes the conversation in ways that you cannot even begin to understand. Being aware of the fact that you want to be in a sexually satisfied marriage changes the way you date extremely, more than you understand, because it's not about prayer. Some things have to be very practical. Some things have to be discussed. Some things have to be considered, okay, instead of just going to your prayer closet. Obviously, there is a place for that, and obviously that should constantly be reoccurring, but it shouldn't be the only requirement to decide whether or not you should move forward with the marriage. Now, it allows you to understand why you're attracted to this person and what that attraction looks like. This is all what we put dating to marry clients through. That's why it's a 12-week comprehensive program, because it allows you to completely transform the way you are approaching the dating scene. And one of the areas that I'm very firm on clients with is understanding why you're attracted to someone, so that you are not giving into lust. You are giving into understanding what love practically looks like from the point of from the perspective of how you are dating this person. So what I mean by the perspective is, are you dating them because you're lonely? Are you dating them because you're bored? Or are you dating them because you're actually interested? Or are you dating them out of desperation? There are different reasons why you could find somebody attractive. So what I do with clients is really help them to understand why you're attracted to that person and what exactly about them is attractive to you, so that as you're dating, you're constantly honoring that fact through the vetting process that you're putting them in. Okay, so it also makes it easier for you to filter your desires. Again, I'm looking at my notes because I had a lot to share today about really making sure that you understand what vetting looks like. So if you see me look there, it's my notes, okay? So it makes it easy for you to filter your desires in a way that makes sure that you don't get attached physically or sexually. So what that means, in other words, is because you're going through the process of vetting whether or not this person fits a particular role, you are not going to get prematurely attached, because you're not leading with your emotions. You're leading with your spirit. You're leading with your convictions. So that automatically guards your heart. You are not exposing your heart. You're not blocking your heart. A lot of you are blocking your heart because you're so afraid of being hurt. But if you're vetting, it allows you to screen in a way that allows you to know whether or not you're attracted to someone, and you won't be prematurely attached to that person. Now, through the Dating to Marry program, what we make sure to do is to show you how to properly categorize physical and sexual desires, so that you understand what that looks like for you practically without over relying on what people have said you should look out for. Somebody physically may be attracted to height, while you are attracted to how they dress. So what we do through the program is really make sure and confirm with you, through a very practical process, so that you understand how that looks like for you scripturally and practically. We also show you how to honor your spiritual desires in a way that also takes account of what your flesh desires as well. So what I mean by that is, God obviously doesn't want you to marry somebody you don't find attractive. He obviously doesn't want you to be in a relationship that you feel frustrated in. So we show you through the program how to honor your spirit in a way that also allows you to understand what God desires for your flesh, so that you know what it looks like to be dating somebody that meets that desire for spiritual standards and sexual, physical, emotional standards. And we make it easy for you to vet because we provide a template. Like one of my clients, Funke, was saying, Funke went through our program and she was able to really understand the different stages of dating and really understand how she's supposed to position herself so that it's easy for her to know whether or not she should move forward with that prospective partner in the process of, confirming whether they are a potential marital partner. Okay, so what we did with her is we provided a template, and we do this with all clients. We give you a template that makes it personally applicable to your own process. That's why Chidima was able to use this template to lead with her value. Ijoma was able to use it to date more confidently. Ife was able to emotionally detach herself. Dami was able to enter into a marriage. In fact, the two I've counseled. I tend to work with clients that have the same name, but they are in different locations. So there's both Damis that I've worked with are now married women, but they were each able to apply the process in different ways to make the right choice maritally, to be able to choose from the right pool of men who to commit to maritally. Okay, so dating to marry is a system that is very practical with a very spiritually based foundation of faith to allow you to date realistically. We balance prayer with practicality, so your prayers are sharp and specific. We provide you with a template so you are clear on your patterns of positioning and presenting yourself so that you're attracting a quality caliber of men, right? Now, why vetting is so important in this process and why we do it through the entire program is because vetting is going to look different in different situations and scenarios depending on where you are. That's why I use the example of applying for a job. As soon as you apply for that role, you are being vetted. But the way you are vetted at that point is different from the way you are going to be vetted at the second interview, and it's different from the way you are going to be vetted when you are applying for a promotion in that role. So that's why it applies. We show you how to vet throughout the entire program because it is going to look different at different stages. And that's why you need to understand that vetting today is not going to be the same for you as it will be tomorrow. Now, I want to address some controversial areas that I think have come into conflict with how people understand faith should apply in the dating scene. Okay, so vetting and rotational dating work perfectly well together. So I encourage my clients to do both. I show them how to do both, and it has worked for them in a way that allows them to enter into relationships and marriages that honor what God has released to their spirit. So the reason vetting and rotational dating work perfectly well together is if you know how to screen based on the marriage that you believe you have been called to, the marital template you have, it's easier for you to date men, to go on dates with men that fits that pool of desire. So if you want somebody that is, as you know, my usual example, Christian, kind, and fit, and you meet Mr. A and Mr. B that both fall into that category, vetting allows you to filter which one is in alignment with your marital template. So if anything, it allows you to screen from a quality pool of options so that you are giving space for the right men and you are not getting confused or conflicted or giving too much attention to one man that seems to mirror what you're looking for. A danger of just focusing on one person is that you start seeing things that are not there. Or you may overscreen them because they are the only option available. You may lead with desperation instead of desire. You may put yourself in a position where you are considering them even though you know that they are encouraging you to compromise on areas that are non-negotiable for you. It also allows you to date in a fun and flexible manner. It allows you to be flirtatious naturally. So you are leading with your feminine energy. So what I mean by leading with your feminine energy and what I do with dating to marry clients is I break it down in practical detail exactly how your feminine energy should apply in each stage of dating. But what I simply mean is because you are so comfortable with your courage and your confidence is coming forward as you are dating, because you have a specific template you're using, it allows you to lead with your natural energy in terms of being flirtatious, fun. You're open to spontaneous experiences because you're vetting. So that is your security. That is your confirmation that this person should be given a certain level of access to your space. So it's easier for you to occupy that position of being an attractive feminine woman that is able to step into her fullness, as whether you want to be flexible or you want to be flirtatious. It creates opportunities for you to do that practically. Okay, now vetting allows you to attract men that you can actually marry. It allows you to attract men that you actually know that you could potentially settle down with without compromising on non-negotiables. It makes it easy for you to know, okay, is this somebody I could settle down with? Let's go through the template that I am supposed to be working with when it comes to my marriage. And literally, I just finished working with a client, and she said that this is one of the most transformative investments she's made this year with the Dating to Marry program, because we're so specific about making sure that your pool of options honor your marital template, and the way you are approaching the dating scene is allowing you to vet in a way that honors your convictions in your faith and your desires in the flesh. So what I mean by that is simply the desires that you have given from God and desires God has given you permission and allowance to have for yourself. Okay. And it also encourages an abundance mindset. Obviously, let me use the example of somebody that is applying again, because I like using this example because everybody can relate, right? And I only work with professional women, so this example plays very practically for them as well. So what happens is you apply to a role. Obviously, when you put out a role for audition, maybe they are looking for auditors, you don't expect just one application. You expect a couple of applications, a number of applications, which is why in some of their applications, they say that you may not get a response except you're offered an interview. That is an abundance mindset that you need to show up with in the dating scene. Vetting allows you to create that opportunity for yourself because you know what you're looking for. You know exactly what it is that you are trying to achieve in the dating scene. So it encourages you to have an abundance mindset so that when you are dating, you are looking at a quality pool of options from the men that are approaching you. Now, when I say quality pool, I don't mean that you are going to be dating in quantity. There is a difference. I feel like so many Christian women have a scarcity mindset towards dating that they focus, whether subconsciously, on quantity instead of quality. If you meet one man that honors the standards that God has given you and is in alignment with the vetting process and the marital template that you have received, that is far more valuable than meeting 10 men that do not. So that's what I mean by it encourages an abundance mindset. It allows you to approach the dating scene in a manner that honors the fact that you know what you're looking for is readily available to you. It's also why I push clients to do rotational dating. You know, one of my clients, she wasn't into rotational dating. She didn't even want to try online dating, but now she's fine. She's doing all the things. She's rotationally dating. She's online dating, all the dating. She's going out. And that's why this the Dating to Marry program is so transformational. It's not solely about. In fact, if your goal working with me is just the fact that I want to get married, then you will not qualify for the program because that's not the focus. The focus is to show you how to date for the purpose of marriage. And yes, we have clients that have gotten married and are going to get married and are engaged and are dating differently. But that's because when they came to the program, it was from the perspective of understanding how to date in a way that honors their marital template, how to date in a way that allows them to understand exactly what they should be looking out for to make sure that they're entertaining the right options in the dating pool. And that is exactly why all of them have experienced transformations in different stages of their journeys, whether, like Dami, they're now married, or Ijoma that was properly able to understand how her marital calling should look like practically, or whether it's Chidema that was able to lead with her value. That's why they were able to go through that process and get those results. Also, Dating to Marry has a framework to allow you to implement your own dating strategy. I'm not a fan of telling you how your dating strategy should look like. I don't impose. What I do help you to do is understand what you already know in a way that allows you to apply it practically. Now, when you are vetting, it also allows you to know what you're bringing to the table. I know a lot of women are not fond of that phrase. What are you bringing to the table? But I don't have a problem with it because I know what I'm bringing to the table. And you should be able to articulate that as well. It should be so obvious to men when you're dating that you are clearly a woman of value, that you shouldn't be struggling to articulate it. Okay, it should be so obvious in how they relate with you. Because whether you know it or not, men vet too. They do it all the time. As soon as a guy meets you, as soon as he starts talking to you, I can guarantee you he already knows the position that you are going to occupy in his life. He already knows whether he just wants to have sex with you. He already knows whether he wants to have something serious with you. He already knows whether he just wants to have a fling with you or he's just going to date you for fun. So that's why it's important to understand that you need to approach the dating scene from an equal position of being able to vet, right? So if you're interested in dating to marry, make sure you check out the link in my bio. It's the first tab. You learn all about the program. The application for dating to marry is still open, but it will close in a few short days. So if you're interested in that, let me know. Right, so I see some questions. Let's see. Now, excuse if Rocky barks. Rocky is my dog. He may bark because somebody just came in, so just ignore him. How many dates would you advise a single wanting to be in a relationship to go on, and what do you do to prevent yourself from getting attached too quickly? Like I've just explained, you vet. When you're vetting, it's easier for you to know exactly what you need to be looking out for. It's easier for you to understand exactly what the right person is supposed to look like at each stage of the process. Yeah, that's Rocky. It's easier for you to know exactly what it means to be in a relationship that honors what you desire for yourself maritally, and you'll be able to know the right men. I'm not going to tell you how many dates you should go on because, like I said, I don't tell clients exactly. There's no number. Okay, I've had clients go through the program, they get married within months. I've had clients go through the program, they get married years after. That happened with Sylvia, that happened with the two dummies that I've mentioned. That's because I don't work with you on a timeline, because I don't believe that's how spiritually things move. I think that way God works with us is so specific that the timeline is spiritual, it's not physical. So it's not a mindset of go on so many dates. I would never teach you that. What I show you how to do is what you should be achieving on each date, to make sure that they are qualified. Okay? Let's see. Is it okay for a man who is befriending you and saying he'd like to see if it will lead to something more concrete to tell you that he's talking to other women? Okay, so if he's talking to other women, there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, rotational dating means that you are able to entertain other people before the point of commitment to exclusivity. So that means that he's exploring his options. I said this thing, men do this so easily. I don't know why women struggle. The reason a man is able to explore his options is because he's aware that there is an abundant pool available to him to choose from. The problem that women have with this is they have a scarcity mindset, so they are not aware that they are entitled to that same level of abundance. So you should be rotationally dating. You should be able to go on a date with men that fit your particular standards and boundaries, the requirements that you desire in a spouse, and you should be able to choose which one you want to move forward with. And that's what we show you how to do through the dating to marry process. That's why, clients are able to tell me that, okay, fine, you know what, I'm seeing I'm seeing Mr. A. Mr. A is doing A, B, and C. This is what I want to do with Mr. A, and this is what I'm going to do with Mr. B. And they're able to move forward with that process without becoming emotionally committed or confused, because they know how exactly they're supposed to do when they're rotationally dating. So there's no problem with that. If anything, he did you a favor in terms of letting you know, because some women need that push. I don't know why you would be feeling guilty when you are not his girlfriend, that you are going on a date with another guy. While dating them, is it okay to tell them you are talking to other men or not? That really depends on your specific situation, and it depends on if you want to release that information or not. Men are not entitled to information that requires exclusivity. So he doesn't need to. This is what I work with dating to marry clients on understanding. Standards and boundaries come at different stages of the relationship. If you're leading with your boundaries in a relationship, if you're leading with your boundaries in the dating process, you are likely to attract less than qualified options. So what I mean is, you are leading with a boundary of, I must only date somebody that will not kiss till marriage. You're going to attract men that want to kiss you before marriage, because that boundary is giving off a negative energy. It's making it very rigid for you to be able to experience dating in a way that is fruitful, that is enjoyable, that is fun, that is flexible. What you want to do is lead with your standard. You want to lead with the fact that, okay, fine, I'm not dating anybody that isn't a Christian. I'm not dating anybody that isn't honoring my standard when it comes to fitness or emotional maturity. That would allow you to explore a more healthy pool of options. So if you decide you want to tell him, or you decide you don't want to tell him, that is really your choice. And the emphasis here is, it is your choice. You have to take accountability for what you want. And that's what I show clients how to do. You have to be able to understand what you want looks like, and what you're willing to do to be able to put yourself in a position to get what you want. If that means that you want to tell a man that you're seeing other people, go ahead. If that means you don't want to, then don't. He doesn't get the right to make that decision for you. That is, you don't start committing without exclusivity. Whether it's, this is what I mean by emotionally prematurely committing yourself. you don't need to do any of that, because he's not your what's it called? He's not your boyfriend at the very least. I'm attracted to a friend of mine, and I think he is too, because he dropped some subtle hints. How do I go about enabling him to talk about his feelings without being desperate? Okay, so you're attracted to your friend and you think he is too, and both of you are friendly, and he's shown you that he's hinted that he's interested. I would advise you to just go about your business. What I mean by that is keep seeing other people, maybe create opportunities. The thing is, you are friends, so if he was interested in you, he would have articulated it. But if you really want to know, you can just ask him that, are you interested in us exploring the possibility of going on a date? It's just a simple question, but I know a lot of women don't have the emotional capacity for this, and that's why what I do with dating to marry clients is I give them a very specific framework on how it should look like to approach a guy. But there's nothing wrong with saying, okay, do you know what, do you want to hang out, do you want us to go on a date together? I'm just asking a question. It doesn't mean that it's going to change our relationship in any way, and you move forward. The problem with why you think it's desperate is that you probably don't have the confidence to do it. If you approach anything from a confident standpoint, you can say anything you want and it wouldn't come off as desperate. I can literally say to you, I'm interested in you. I would like to get to know you more. It didn't come off as desperate, but if I start saying, I really like you, I think you're a great guy, I want to spend more time with you, it's just giving off the wrong energy, okay? Okay, so with regards to age gaps, it's really up to you. Whatever you want to do is up to you. Again, I do not give timelines. I don't subscribe to telling you what to do. Whether it's 10 years, 5 years, it's your decision. It's really your decision. What I help you to understand through the dating to marry process is what your decision should look like based on the marital template God has given you specifically. I would never tell a client, date this, date that. No. What I show you how to do is to take accountability for that choice in a way that honors the framework that God has given you. Okay? So it was awesome talking to you guys. Thank you. Please use the question icons. It's easier for me to see your questions. I desire to marry a man that doesn't take any form of alcohol. Well, that's really your decision. Again, spiritual, emotional, physical standards is your decision. I cannot give you a blanket answer to this. What we show you what to do through the Dating to Marry program is to understand how to specifically apply your dating process in a way that honors the marriage that God has given you practically. Because what I've seen women do is you make things too spiritual to the point where God never told you to do any of the things you are doing. You carried yourself and started doing it. He never gave you that instruction. What I show you how to do is to practically honor what he has said in a way that allows you to date men that will find you attractive and will want to commit to you. You will be the one choosing. That's what I show you how to do in dating to marry. Okay? How do you know the specific template God has given you? That's not something I can summarize. It's a process. But what I would encourage you to do is really sit down and pay attention to what he has told you when it comes to your marriage, and how you are honoring that in your present season. What we show you through the Dating to Marry client program how to do is to understand how that looks like practically in your present position. But I will not disrespect what God has told you by summarizing it in a single question. That's why it's a 12-week program, and we put you through a process to understand what that looks like practically. And it has worked very well for our clients, the two dummies that are now married, Sylvia that is now married, Ife that is dating differently, Chidema that is able to lead with her value and has a quality pool of men available to her and is choosing, based on that, making her marital decision based on that. So it has worked very well for our clients, Okay, so at this point, I am done answering your questions. If you're interested in the Dating to Marry program, make sure that you click the link in bio on the first tab, and you will be able to learn more about the program. Okay, it is an investment. None of my courses or my programs are free. If you want any of my free content, you can watch my lives. They are very abundant in information. But if you want my specific processes, then you will either have to go through the Dating to Marry program, where you work with me on a one-to-one basis, or you join Wife in Waiting, which is my mentorship community, where you have a community framework to learn how to date like your wife. But Dating to Marry is a comprehensive curriculum that shows you from the beginning to the end how to date to honor the marriage God has given you, how to vet from a quality pool of men and choose men that you can actually marry. So if that's what you're looking for, that's the program for you. Okay, so make sure you tell your friends to watch this live. I'm sure it'll be very helpful to them. And I'll see you all next time. If you have any questions about Dating to Marry program, feel free to send me a DM saying DTM. Okay, have a nice evening. Bye.